want to go live or confirm. Yep, you're live.
Okay, this just says starting.
Yeah. Your red light's on up there.
Okay. All right, this is the Page and Planning Commission meeting for June the 22nd, 2023. It was posted appropriately with the local newspapers and at the town hall front door. We do have a quorum with 4 here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda you have?
Motion.
Got a motion, is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, it's unanimous. Did everybody receive a copy of the minutes from we didn't have a May meeting because we didn't have a quorum, so there wouldn't be any minutes. So we can dispense with that, there's nothing to approve. Any public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Commission items. So, first one is the SCIP grants, and Mr. Sly is not here, but I did go to the council meeting Tuesday, and after the council meeting, I asked the mayor and Mr. Sly about the SCIP grants. Those are the infrastructure grants that the town applied for. We did not receive those, and my question to him was, the projects that they were going to fund, where were we on those projects, if they were going to go forward, if they were going to be mothballed. And they were a water project and a sewer, water line and a sewer project line that were on the north end of town that would have fed Laney Farms. The answer was that even though we didn't receive the SCIP grants, there was money that was awarded to rural water that would indirectly affect that project. So I was assured we had plenty of water and sewer for the Laney Farms project, so we moved on. But that's just that federal ARP money that was earmarked for rural infrastructure. We just didn't receive any of it, and growth was low on the hierarchy of needs, which that was high on our needs, but not on the state's needs assessment. So that's where we're on SCIP grants. The proposed ordinance rewrite review, that would be subdivision ordinance. What was going to do, we don't, with only the 4 of us here, take that copy that you have, make sure you've studied the subdivision ordinance, and it's pretty, it took what we had, and you could see what was in red was the additions that the consultant recommended. There's a couple things I think I've sent a copy to Mr. Rivers here to review as well, but it's not something we can just take up and pass in, one look at it and pass it. So I think over the next 2 meetings or so, we probably need to, when we've got a full group here, discuss it at length. Any changes, I've made quite a few notations on it, and I'll send everybody a copy of my notes in the margins on it. If you want to make notes in the margin on it too, that's fine, and we'll bring it all together and address the comments, and there may be some changes we want to propose, and then send that back to the consultant for them to clean up, and then we'll have a final version to review, and then if we decide to present that to council. Next item is the bypass overlay draft. We got that from Mr. Sly early in the week. Did we get that Monday?
Yes.
Got it Monday. Amy distributed that to everybody. It's a little smaller document, but I will ask you to review that on your own, and at our next regular meeting that we be prepared to discuss that at length. I looked at it pretty thoroughly. The only thing that I saw that was of concern to me was the height restrictions of 33 feet for any building. That would prohibit a hotel, I would think, on the bypass in that zone, and I don't think we want to put dampen that possibility. Did anybody else have anything that they saw in it that was just jumped right off the page?
No, I
Okay.
kind of thought about the hotel too, because I know we're proposing one to go out on the bypass where the old mobile home place was.
Yeah, that's, somebody has inquired about that, so that would be, that would be something to look at. Anything else on the bypass overlay? We'll just plan on, end of July, taking those up, at our regular July meeting, which will be July the 25th. And I will not be here the 25th. Y'all want to do it? Y'all can do it. Y'all are welcome to do it that day,
No.
unless you want to back it up a week to the 18th.
I'd rather you be here.
That wouldn't be a problem.
That's something.
Or we could do it later in the week if you wanted to do it the same week.
I guess these copies were here for staff and the public, so.
Yes. Do you want to do it on a different day that week? 27th? I'll be in Atlanta those days.
I've got vacation Bible school the 26th, 27th, and 28th.
I got it the week before.
That time of year.
Yep.
So either the 24th for me or back it up the week before. Our VBS starts at 6.
Ours starts at 6 too. We could do the week prior if you wanted to do it. Would that work?
I won't be here.
You won't be here?
Monday through Wednesday, I won't be.
What if we did Thursday, July the 20th?
That works for me.
I'm okay with that too.
July the 20th
Mhm.
at 5 o'clock? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we'll make that note for, if you'll send a email to Mr. Sly, let him know that's when we move the day to. Okay, so we'll just need to plan on discussing those, the bypass overlay and the subdivision ordinance rewrite, on those days, on that day, 20th. The other items was a proposed truck route from US 601 from Laney Road to South Pearl and Highway 151 bypass. I hadn't got an update on that. I think that's in the hands of the town staff and the DOT. I think really the issue is just the signage, just putting the signage in place, and hoping the trucks will adhere to it and create some enforcement with the PD. And that takes us to the staff report. Mr. Rivers, you got anything?
Well, since you're on the particular topic there with subdivisions and bypass overlay, probably goes without saying that there's quite a bit to unpack here if you go through it and
Yes.
do some reading. It's a lot to digest. And I think the consultant did a pretty good job of revising and adding to and delineated that with the red text in the document. So it's important not to have a black and white copy of a color document, obviously, but helps a little bit with the reading, trying to discern what it is we're changing from what's we currently have. So it's my understanding, and this probably needs to be clarified further maybe by Mr. Shane Slide, that the current subdivision ordinance and the current bridge ordinance that y'all are familiar with, this kind of puts those two together, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
And it also makes some additional revisions and changes to what's out there. So there's a lot in here. I'd recommend you guys read it.
Yep.
Staff's gonna have to kind of absorb it all too, so to speak. And
Yeah.
I guess the old saying, the devil's in the details, kind of applies here. And then with respect to the bypass overlay zoning district, it is kind of its own district once this is established. And there's some pretty significant provisions in here that will affect what our bypass is going to look like in the future. What's going to be out there, and how far from the road, and, you know, what it's going to look like. The landscaping, the hardscaping, height of buildings, a lot of stuff. So one thing that triggered my desire to comment on was David made reference to the height of buildings. Like a hotel, if we're limiting things to 32 feet, there may need to be some provisions set forth in there. Of course, that's in y'all's purview to recommend to council, that the same would apply to limited industrial if you wanted to change that height, because I'm not sure, because this isn't color coded, but the limited
Well,
industrial,
The email version is color coded.
okay, so the limited industrial color code, which I can't remember off the top of my head, if any of that touches the bypass, then it will also limit potentially an industry from having a work process tower or part of a building taller than 32 feet. For example, one quick example, Cabraco Industries Foundry down here on the bypass. If that, in fact, was something like that allowed in the future, then they would have to limit the height of the building. They couldn't do what they're doing down there.
Right.
So, and that's, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, I'm just saying it is what it is. So there's a lot here, and the other thing that jumped off the page, just flipping through, was A3 on the first page, under permitted uses. It goes on to talk about A there, talks about 30,000 square feet is when the planning commission, it kind of triggers the planning commission looking at some of these things,
Yep.
right? Y'all may want to raise or lower that. I think most people would tend to lower that number. So some things were in y'all's purview that otherwise would not be. So in other words, as long as the guy built a building that was 29,900 feet, y'all wouldn't have much say in that part of the provisions of this
Yeah.
ordinance. So those are just some things that jumped out at me as I read through it. And then, of course, the only other thing I had was we received an application today, just to make you aware for information's sake, a request to rezone a parcel of property on North Hickory Street, the 500 block. Right now it's zoned neighborhood commercial. It's a little bit quirky that there's 3 or 4 parcels or lots of land over there that are shaded light blue, which on the zoning map, which indicates they're neighborhood commercial. And the area generally has 1 and 2 family dwellings, R6 or general residential classifications around it, but this particular area is neighborhood commercial. And there's a guy that that owns the parcel, desires to give it to his daughter for her to put a home on, a new manufactured home. Single wide, I think I'm correct on that. And she can't put it there without a zoning change. And so that'll be up to y'all sometime fairly soon to schedule a meeting to hear or to take up that zoning, that rezoning application.
Okay.
I don't know when y'all can do it. Don't pretend to set your schedule for you, but I would encourage you to, be proactive on it, because they would really like to get moving on this. And they're kind of dead in the water until the commission has an opportunity to hear, their application. And then, of course, that goes from y'all to council to further get approval. So it can get convoluted even when we kind of move along with it. So
Yep.
there's that, Mr. Chairman. They
Well-
paid their fee today and filed their application.
So we'll have that to take up next meeting,
Okay?
and we'll make a recommendation to council based on what we get, if it meets the
Did y'all set that date yet?
Yes, July the 20th at 5 PM.
20, okay.
July 20th, 5 PM. Do you have the copy, the marked up copy that I sent you of the subdivision rewrite?
Yeah.
Just, will you send it back to me? I'm trying to find where I saved it and I can't find it anywhere. I was just gonna say, send it back out to everybody, and if they wanna make additions to what I sent out, we can do that.
Okay.
And then we'll take that up at the next meeting. So the next meeting will be July 20th at 5 PM. Is anything else for the good of the commission? We'll make this a quick one in record time.
As always, the town appreciates you guys putting in your time and doing what you do.
All right, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn, second by Ms. Evans. All those, is there any discussion? All those in favor of adjournment, raise your right hand. It is unanimous, and the meeting's adjourned. And we'll turn off our live stream.